Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Jon Myer podcast powered by Myer Media. Today, we're actually talking about how to fix FinOps automation once and for all. Joining me today is Amit, the CEO of OpenOps. Amit, thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, John. Great to be here. Thank you for inviting me to your podcast.
All right, so Amit, I love doing this in person. These are always the best ones to do. The interaction, the engagement, it's just so much fun. As the CEO, as a traditional CEO, we know what they do, but what do you do at OpenOps besides the CEO role?
Well, I guess in every startup, you start with generalists and then you go to specialists, right? So, as startup founders, we kind of need to be the ultimate generalists, right? We need to be able to dive into anything. My days in the morning, I'm going through budgets, and then I speak with potential customers and prospects and the existing customers. I speak to my people, interview for our company. Like it's everything. It's product, it's R&D, it's finance, it's legal, it's everything just together. Big crazy mess, and I love it.
Including, filling out your day here on the podcast and doing a couple of conversations. Thanks for joining me. So automation, that's what we're talking about here for FinOps. Automation is key for any industry, right? You can go to utilities, commercial, retail, it doesn't matter. But why is it so important, not only in cloud and finance, diving deep into those? And then I want to dive into how we fix this. But why is automation even more important for FinOps?
Yeah. Well, in FinOps, like most of us know, we started our technology market, right, with on-prem servers, with everything being procured in advance and planned years ahead, or at least quarters ahead. And now we moved to this world where everything is on the go, everything is one click and you got it, right? So developers, engineering managers, are engineers themselves, they do procurement on a daily and sometimes hourly basis, right? And that has been amazing for innovation because it enables anyone to do anything so much faster, right? Using the cloud, using cloud technologies. Like here, we're at reInvent by AWS, so it's absolutely amazing. But then the challenge in governing that became incredible because when everyone can do actions and can procure resources in a matter of minutes or and do that on a daily basis, well, how do you manage the finance of it? How do you make sure that the spend is optimized and that it's justified? And I think in the beginning of cloud, it wasn't such a big issue because the amounts were small, right? We were mostly concerned about is the cloud secure. But now, according to Gartner, we're reaching 600, $700 billion in cloud bills yearly. The financial management of that has become its own domain and expertise. And since it's not a few small decisions that about very big resources, it's like thousands and tens of thousands of decisions over very small resources. You just can't manage it without automation. You just can't do it properly. You can only scrape, the tip of the iceberg without automation.
One of the things with the cloud when it first started out is everybody was still understanding it. The skills weren't there. They were playing around, deploying some things, and now large enterprise companies are moving directly to the cloud. The automation part, you weren't really kind of automating it. You were just like clicking, doing it, deploying it out, and the costs have risen. And now cost has been a hot topic for the last couple of years around not only cloud and cloud spend. What are some of the methods used, or what are we automating in the cloud in order to fine tune our stuff for FinOps?
Yeah. So I think there has been a lot of automations and products for doing automation well at the engineer level, right?
And that's
We
to deploy out resources, right? To
Exactly.
kind of like get the business up and running.
Exactly. So Today, you have amazing capabilities for automation, starting from auto-scaling through infrastructure as code, which makes things repeatable, and of course CI/CD products that help manage the entire pipeline at developer level. But that still hasn't solved the problem for the governance teams, because what happens when you're a FinOps leader or FinOps practitioner and you're in charge of an entire organization being efficient, but then you have to work with dozens of different dev teams, sometimes hundreds in the biggest companies like, I don't know, AT&T, Walmart, SAP. It can be even tens of thousands of developers. How do you communicate with them, share business context with them, know what to do together with them? For that, we don't have proper tools today. And for that, you need automation for FinOps, which is built for FinOps, not automation which is built for engineers deploying a certain workload.
Talk to me a little bit more about the automation and the tools that are out there, because most of the tools, and I like how you put that automation for FinOps and to kind of, reducing your spend, analyzing it and looking at that. But some of the tools that are out there, how comes they just don't work right out of the box?
Well, that's actually a beautiful question. When I speak to prospects, the first question I ask them is, why does automation in FinOps not work at the moment? Like, what's the problem? Why doesn't it ever work? And I get so many different answers, but they all boil down to the ability to really adapt automation to the specific needs of the organization. In a large sense, like when you look at a boxed product, there are so many problems with bringing automations out of the box. First of all, if you understand FinOps, you know that FinOps will never run on automation. Like if it's a FinOps working with dozens of teams or hundreds of teams, they're not going to go and turn off databases for other groups,
A
right?
little
Like
bit
it's
of
not.
cost savings, right? I'm the
Yeah,
engineer. I
let's.
turn it off. I did good, pretty good. Automation worked, right?
Yeah, of course. And then, oops, maybe I shut down the production workloads. But never mind, they weren't important. So it doesn't work. I mean, no FinOps would ever use these automations that come out of the box, because it's not how things work. It's not the authority of the FinOps usually to shut down resources
Because
for
they don't
engineering
understand the
teams.
business need of that resource. They don't understand like the suggestion of shutting down that database has implications towards the business.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that don't understand. It's just not their role, right? Their
No,
role,
I'm talking about the automation tool itself
yeah.
does not understand it. It can only make recommendations based off what it sees from a high level. It does not have the intelligence to know that that database is for your business.
Exactly. And to have that knowledge, you need two things basically. First of all, you need business context from across the organization, right? You need the context from the FinOps practitioners that really understand finance and cloud and the connection between them and how things should be operated from a financial perspective. And then you have the developers in the different product lines and business lines, which know the context of their workloads. They know if something is there working at low capacity because it's getting ready for the peak at Black Friday, or because it's there for disaster recovery, or because it's there because once 2 months ago we had an incident where we had a surge and then our whole system crashed just because of that instance not being in the right size, right? So
Yep.
so you as a FinOps practitioner, you can't know that, and as a boxed product, you can't know that, and they don't do the process to create this connection. That's one problem, the business context being spread across different areas of the organization, therefore the tool not being able to understand that. The other part is that it's also fragmented between many different systems. We have multi-cloud, we have a visibility platform, we have maybe a Kubernetes platform, a storage platform, an RDS platform, a data pipeline optimization platform.
Don't I need
Um,
various tools for all those visibility of it and in order to do FinOps? Like it just sounds like a lot of resources in order to manage and monitor.
Exactly, and that's where I see FinOps practitioners um, struggling, and actually what we saw in our market research, before we started this company, is that company after company, because the box products are not customizable enough, they don't connect with all their systems, they don't include the business context, they just don't work for them. And then we saw company after company building internally, coding their own automations because no box product worked. So that's kind of the problem with automation today. Um, it's, when it comes out of the box, it lacks the business context, it lacks the connectivity, it lacks the ability to adapt it and customize it to the specific company's needs and to their specific tech stack and systems, etc. And that's why we saw it never works. That's why we saw everyone developing internally, and that's the problem we were aiming to solve. Yeah.
It feels like we're going back, right? Back then, we would develop our own application, our own proprietary stuff to handle our needs as a business. Then everybody went to SaaS and, hey, this one solves it and we can get this. And now all these tools are fine tuned to certain areas, but now I need to rebuild something to get full visibility into FinOps. Why is the visibility lacking?
Well, visibility, I think, is it's working really well at doing visibility, but visibility is just not enough. It's not everything, right? Because it's nice that you, like, imagine going to the doctor and the doctor tells you, well, you have 10 different problems in your body that they are really big problems. Now, good luck.
So we're not the
It's
visibility, but actually the actions of doing visibility, like performing them to get something done.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so it's nice that I know that I have 100,000 unattached volumes in my enterprise, and that could be optimized. But what's next? Like, how do I get my organization to remediate 100,000 issues, right? That's
What's the
not a problem
priority,
of
right?
visibility. It's a problem of
Yep.
accountability. It's a problem of communication. It's a problem of agreeing and aligning on priorities, right? It's
I could see it coming from you, agreeing on it, right? So we're now in contention of resources to actually perform the actions from the visibility, right? To reduce it, to get rid of, all these unattached volumes. Now we're like, well, I have, more important things. I got to develop this feature. I got to jump on this, whatever it is. That's where I make my money, but I'm losing money on having these unused resources.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, the industry loves to call it shift left, right? Like, um, but I think many people use shift left uncarefully. What do I mean? If you treat shift left, and I'm, by the way, I'm a developer. Like, my whole career, I was a software engineer turned team
So
lead,
you really
engineering
want to
manager,
shift
etc.
forward.
So, so I've been shifted left too,
Yep.
and I can say that, I mean, guys, I love it. I love that you're asking me to remediate my open source vulnerabilities and my static code analysis vulnerabilities, and my container image has vulnerabilities, and my resources cost too much and they are underutilized, and this configuration isn't compliant and that configuration isn't compliant. And in addition, right, as a software engineer, I also need to, like, build a product,
Yep.
right, that promotes the business. So I think there's like a primal sin in the industry of shifting left by just throwing the problem at the engineers.
Yep.
And um, that's not going to work, because these people, you can say engineering is about, building the best product and making it performant and secure and efficient and all of that. But the reality is that there's almost no person on this planet that has a capacity to perfectly understand their product domain, to deeply understand the open source security and container security and financial efficiency and code security. And I mean, there's just too much that we're asking. And then actually, like, what usually gets things going is what I refer to as the magic triangle, which I'm sure you're a bit cryptic about it because it's not exactly a familiar term, right?
Well, a magic triangle. Let's dive into it. I know one of those, and you and I have talked before. I know one of those is like accountability, right? Part of it, but you have some other key areas of it. Let's dive into your magic triangle.
Yeah, so basically what I always claim, and that's from my experience working at enterprises, having worked at the small companies like Microsoft, etc.
Just a little small company there, right?
I mean, how do you get things moving in a big company? Basically, you need three things, right? You need some mechanism of accountability, and we talked about it. Like we need to know who's in charge of what, and if there's a problem with something, who's in charge of fixing it. But then that on its own is not enough. The other two very important elements is the ease of use, the ability of the people in charge of doing the work actually being trained, being knowledgeable, knowing what to do and knowing how to do that quickly and efficiently without a hassle. Like sort of, it needs to be easy for them. So that's the ease of use side of the triangle. And if the people that can do the work and are accountable for the work also know how to do the work and it's easy for them, that's a big step. But turns out in enterprises, that's not enough. Why? Because actually, you also need priority. You also need someone to say, this is important. It's not enough that someone is accountable. It's not enough that it's easy for them because there are many, many things to do. So it's a matter of priority. And that's where you need the executive commitment, because once it's people are accountable, they know they are accountable, it's easy for them to do, and an executive says, this is very important, please follow this KPI, make sure we're on track with it, then the magic happens. Then things start to really, really move. And that's something that I learned from actually one of the first bosses in my career, where we did that motion. We created the accountability. I taught the people who need to do the work what they need to do, what we need from them, made sure that they really know what they are doing. And then my boss went to the VP level and, banged on the door until he got a meeting. And then we had an email summary saying, this is super important from the VP. And then poof, the magic happened.
Well, that's a true top down. And I actually like how you put that in as a magic triangle. And I think we do this every day as humans, where we have 100 tasks, 20 of them are really easy to do, right? I got to hold myself accountable to do them, but I'm doing these other ones because I have a priority should I do the easy ones? Are they a priority to me? All of them are easy, but they're not the ones that I need to get done. So I need to hold myself accountable to get those. As it translates to FinOps and the automation, the visibility, the recommendations that come up, if you put those in order, yes, I'm the person who owns this application. I own the deployment of this and the resources that it's using. Is it easy to make these changes? In some cases, yes. It's a quick, like the 100,000 volumes, delete them. Yeah, this is easy to do. Is that a priority? Well, I have these other tasks for a feature release to jump on. So I think that actually puts things into perspective in order to get these things done through automation. Amit, I really got to ask you, because one of our, our topic is FinOps automation and fix it once and for all. Do you have the answer? How do we fix this issue once and for all?
Well, then, of course, we have our vision there and we really believe in it. And so basically, what we want to achieve is that magic triangle, right?
Yep.
We want to build automations that can actually do that can actually create accountability, make it easy for other people, and report KPIs. Now, okay, why don't we just write code that does that?
Yep.
Right? Well, because we said actually to make this happen, you need the specific context of the enterprise. You need the specific culture, the specific organizational structure of the company. You need to know what you're doing. Okay, so does that mean that the only way to solve it is to hire 40 developers and build an internal product?
Is that cost efficient, right?
Is that cost efficient? Is that, do most companies have resources to put 40 people on building an internal product? Of course not, right? So so how do we solve this? So we decided to go on the perfect balance between um, full customizability, full ability to change the logic, what the automation is doing, and the ease of creating the automation. And we found that in this day and era, there's a holy match that can really get this done. And basically, the two parts of this match are no code automation. No code brings all the APIs, all the wrappers to all the APIs, all the business logic. You don't need to mess around with authentication. You don't need to think how to call the API properly, which parameters are important. Just drag and drop pieces that already integrate with the basically every service that you need to consume, whether it's the service provider, the SaaS application, the cloud provider, you name it, communication systems, ticketing systems, etc. So bring in all the integrations already ready out of the box. That's something that saves a lot, and bring best practices with it. Bring no-code playbooks. So no-code is a big side of the equation. But then in this day and age, well, we wouldn't be a podcaster and a CEO, right? If we wouldn't say the word AI.
You know what? I don't think I've said it today yet. So this is pretty good.
Yeah. So of course, the other side that can make things really easy is AI. And we believe that no code brought a big benefit to the world in terms of democratizing building automations. But then, if you look at the other side of AI is also doing that, right? Like I have a friend in IT who he's been trying to write code his entire life. He had a lot of ideas for automation. He's a really experienced IT manager, and his mind is boiling with ideas. But he was never able to write code to build these automations. Now with AI, with ChatGPT, he's writing scripts all day. So no code democratizes building automations. AI democratizes building automations. Put the two of them together, and suddenly you don't need 40 developers internally to build the internal product, to get business context across the organization, to get connectivity with other systems. That's the vision that we have for streamlining automation in enterprises, in large companies, and that's the balance that we believe is correct. Like, get all the playbooks, get all the integrations you need, all the API calls. Don't think about it. Just think about your logic. Build the process that you want to build. Run it. Try it with one product group, second product group, then start to share it across the organization. That's the first part of it, of really solving the problem. And then there's another thing that you didn't ask me, but I can mention on what else is really important to make this work.
What's more important to make this work?
So actually, I think collaboration is very important, because as we all know, no one wants to be forced to do something, right? And even when we're talking about no-code automation, which is understandable, easy to write, etc., still we have the problem, right, that the FinOps practitioner or the central governance will not run automations everywhere without people's permission. Correct. Right?
Yep.
So actually what you need to build inside an enterprise is that internal community where people exchange ideas. So the central FinOps, in a sense, can build best practices for the company, but then you want to have a feedback loop. You want to have teams that can subscribe to the automations, customize them to their specific needs further. It's not only one-time customization for the entire enterprise, right? Because the enterprise is big. So it might need more points of customizations in the product line. So actually, having that internal community where the FinOps can curate the best practices, but then people in the product lines can subscribe to that, can contribute, can request changes. Creating that community is also a very big deal. And that's, in a sense, we think of our product as a platform that can be kind of similar to Stack Overflow, because you want automations for something, and then that can be spread across the organization. People can subscribe to it, people can comment, people can star the best automations, and therefore you create this collaboration where everyone are aligned, everyone feel that they contribute did something to it, they weren't forced to do that, and then we believe that this is the way to make things work much better.
Amit, this was totally awesome, and to actually discuss not only the FinOps automation and solving that with no code. Before I wrap it up, where can people go to find out more information?
So everyone are welcome to DM me, my LinkedIn, Amit Sar, and of course we have a company page on LinkedIn, OpenOps, and a website, openops.com. But I love to speak. I love speaking with FinOps practitioners all day, cloud practitioners, CCOE, platform leaders, you name it. So feel free to DM me, and I'd love to catch some time to chat. That's the best way.
Amit, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Jon, for hosting me here. Lovely to be here. Great conversation.
Yeah, definitely. All right, everybody. This has been the Jon Myer podcast, powered by Jon Myer. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, and notify, because guess what? We're out of here.